the then candidate of the PDP in Enugu State, who is now the governor of that state. And we had a press conference about the fact that in the recent days, a lot of stories have emanated from the Election Petition Tribunal, the case between the governor of Enugu State and his other rivals. And a lot of stories have been written in the press, particularly on the online media. In the last couple of days, there has been this kind of impressions that have emerged pointing towards a capitulation on the part of the National Youth Service Corps regarding the authenticity of the discharge certificate they gave to the governor of Enugu State, who was then a candidate when the issue started. And when we got wind of, we read some of those stories, we had to go to the NYSC headquarters to make a demand that since this is what the points, these are the development that has emerged from the tribunal, and particularly there is this presentation that was made by a top officer of the DSS that seems to point towards a capitulation on the part of the NYSC. So we now demanded that there has to be a public apology that will be issued to the governor of Enugu State within 48 hours by the NYSC. But when we got there to NYSC, although they didn't want to speak, to be captured in terms of allowing the media to be there to capture the interface that was going on, but there was a strong reaffirmation on the part of the NYSC top hierarchy that they did not change, they have not changed their position regarding their accusation and their claim that the discharge certificate that is in the possession of the governor of Enugu State wasn't issued by them, that has remained their position. We now left the place. So we decided that there is the need to address some of these matters relating to the slanting of reports, how those who cover the proceedings, because this matter, this controversy between the Enugu State governor and NYSC has even gone as far as becoming a matter for determination by two regular courts and the Election Petition Tribunal, because those who ran the election against him, those whom INEC, by the results that was declared in Enugu State, those who lost the election to him, to the PDP candidate, all of them went to the Election Tribunal, most of them with that claim that the certificate, NYSC certificate, discharge certificate that he has, is fake. And these matters are already before the competent court of law. We repeat that when you have reporters or maybe somebody by the wayside who is generating maybe the kind of proceedings that are happening inside of the election tribunal and you are not present as a reporter. If you're a judicial reporter, you need to be there to report accurately what transpires in the election tribunal without giving it a slant, without giving it a particular kind of dimension that you intentionally want to favor one of the parties against the other party. Because this matter has become a matter of public interest. It was because of the slant and the dimension that a lot of reports that have emanated from that tribunal, not necessarily written by judicial reporters, but by online, some are not actually unknown bloggers, some are even established online media that most people read all the time, all over the world. So when you now have some kind of stories that have been publicized that are slanted to create the impression that one of the parties is at a disadvantage. You are not only misinforming Nigerians. For instance, it was based on those reports and the impression we got from those reports we read that made us to storm the headquarters of the NYSC, and those of us who went even threatened that we were going to occupy the NYSC if within 48 hours they do not tender public apology to the governor. Not until we were told by the NYSC categorically that the NYSC discharge certificate that was given to the governor of Enugu State, that the governor of Enugu State tendered to INEC before he ran for election, wasn't issued by them and it's not from them, and that they maintained that position. It means that if we had followed, if we had not gone to the headquarters to confront the management, top management of that, we now decided to stage a protest or whatever. We would have been staging a protest based on misinformation that was, or mischaracterization of the proceedings that took place in the tribunal. That is the reason why we decided to once more make an appeal on the judicial, those who cover the proceedings, whether in the regular courts or in the election petition tribunal, to adhere strictly to professional ethics of journalism. You do not report something and you slant it to favor one party against the other, and to now deny the readers the opportunity of reading objective, factually accurate information that emanates from a certain event. Maybe I read briefly the statement that we prepared for this conference. It's a pre-conference statement by the Human Rights Writers Association of Nigeria on the insistence by the National Youth Service Corps that His Excellency Mr. Peter Mbah, Enugu State Governor's NYSC certificate is not from the NYSC, and that there is no capitulation on the side of the NYSC. We stand before you as people from the Human Rights Writers Association of Nigeria to address this issue of utmost importance and national significance. We have consistently been at the forefront of demanding transparency, accountability, and justice from public institutions, and today is not different. For some time now, we have been unwavering in our advocacy regarding the alleged forged certificate of discharge in the possession of the governor of Enugu State, Mr. Peter Mbah. Even before Peter Mbah assumed office as the governor, Hurua is on record as one of the most vocal critics of the NYSC management on this same issue involving the governor of Enugu State, right from when he was a gubernatorial candidate for the People's Democratic Party. As a civil rights body, we firmly believe in the rule of law and the independence of the judiciary. Therefore, out of respect for the powers of the competent court of law, we decided to suspend our advocacy on this matter pending the judgments of both the Election Petition Tribunal and the regular courts. We hold the belief that allowing the legal process to take its full course is fundamental to upholding justice and protecting the sanctity of our democratic institution. However, throughout the legal proceedings, especially in the last few days, various online media sources about what transpired there, we are here to express our concern over the multitude of slanted reports that seem aimed at creating pressure and giving the impression that the NYSC management has considered the validity of the governor's discharge certificate. It is essential to clarify that the NYSC consistently maintained its position that the discharge certificate presented by the Enugu State Governor did not originate from the NYSC and has no association with the organization whatsoever. We were recently informed precisely within the last few hours that the NYSC steadfastly stands by this assertion, supported by what they consider to be unimpeachable evidence that the certificate is fake, according to them. We take this opportunity to reiterate that the NYSC has not wavered in its stance on the authenticity of the governor's certificate. Based on our findings, we must address recent developments, clarifying the reports, insinuating a possible shift in the NYSC position. When these stories emerged online, suggesting a potential change in the NYSC's claim, Huriwa promptly stormed the NYSC headquarters to demand clarity and an immediate public apology to the governor of Enugu State within 48 working hours. However, the top management staff of the NYSC who we met reiterated that NYSC has not altered any aspect of its claim. They emphatically stated that the NYSC certificate with the governor of Enugu State did not emanate from them. Hence, we emphasize that the NYSC insistence on the alleged forgery remains steadfast, according to our findings. There has been no capitulation on the part of the NYSC, and they continue to assert that Governor Mbah's certificate did not originate from them. As an organization committed to upholding the values of justice, we firmly believe that all parties involved should have their day in the competent courts of law. We call on all stakeholders, particularly the media, both mainstream, both online, both social, especially from those online media where a lot of people rely on. We ask them to refrain from propagating unfounded claims. It is crucial to allow the courts to decide based on the evidence presented. We remain resolute in our pursuit of truth, justice, and accountability, and we will vigilantly observe and monitor the situation as it unfolds. Furthermore, we urge the media to exercise professionalism and impartiality in their reportage on this issue. It is of utmost importance that journalists adhere to ethical standards and verify information before disseminating them to the public. Misinformation and biased reporting can lead to further confusion and hinder the progress of the legal process. As we continue to monitor the proceedings of the Petition Tribunal and the other proceedings in other regular courts, we reiterate our trust in the judiciary to dispense justice fairly and independently. In conclusion, we reaffirm our commitments to the principle of justice, human rights, and the rule of law. We continue to advocate for transparency and accountability at all levels of government and public institutions. Our pursuit of truth and justice is unwavering, and we will not relent until the Nigerian people get the answers they deserve. The general public and all the stakeholders in issue should note the reaffirmation of the NYSC that the certificate of NYSC discharge certificate that Peter Mbah has, was not issued by the National Youth Service. This is what we were able to find out yesterday, and for this reason, we will not go ahead with our plan to occupy the NYSC. Haven't heard from the NYSC authorities, although they did not speak, they didn't want to be quoted. They didn't want to be quoted specifically naming those who had met with us, but these are very credible, topmost people in that NYSC who know exactly the position of that institution. And the reason for this press conference is to put it very clear to Nigerians so that they understand what the real position is, as we await the determination of the Election Petition Tribunal and those other regular courts. Thank you. authority to say that. We are not the issuing authority. The reason why we have to organize this is that a lot of reports emanating from the tribunal is being slanted either to favor NYSC or to favor the governor of Enugu State. So, but there's a need to clarify matters the way they are, to state it as it is for now. Then it is left for the authorities, the judicial authorities that will make pronouncement on this, to reach an acceptable determination. And even when those determinations are made by the judicial authorities, we in the civil society organizations or civil society community, we have nothing else to give. We don't have the mandate to either say the certificate somebody has is fake or is real. It is not for us to say that. It is for because the matter is already in the public domain. It's already in the public in the court of public opinion and the court of competent jurisdiction. For us, we will have to ask Nigerians that we need to wait for the competent courts of law to reach a determination that will satisfy the curiosity of most Nigerians.
Sorry, the last question is this. I don't think it's called for debate. Since the body responsible for the certificate has come out openly to say to the public that the certificate does not emanate from their office. So what is the debate all about?
I've told you the reason why we call the press conference, and that is the reason why we call the press conference, is our reading of the reports from the tribunal, seems to be slanted towards creating the impression that there is a capitulation on the part of the NYSC regarding their original claim that the certificates that the governor of Enugu State has is not from them. If you read like the presentation that was made by somebody who sent in a written address to the tribunal, there were a lot of reports on the online media that created the impression that automatically the position of NYSC has shifted based on the investigation they carried out. The way the report was slanted, prompted us. I don't know whether you followed the trajectory of what I read. It was that report that, I don't know the kind of impression you have, maybe that you're trying to model up the whole issues. We pay visits to so many organizations, a lot of organizations. If you have the opportunity of even paying a visit to the president, we'll pay a visit to him today. And that does not stop us from criticizing any of his policies if he commits any misstep the next day. Paying a visit to him last week will not stop us from organizing a protest against him. That's not part of us, So it was based on the misreading, misreporting from the proceeding, that we concluded that the NYSC had actually capitulated. We now stormed the NYSC to demand a public apology. Yesterday, not a courtesy call. You cannot go on a courtesy call to say, I want you to demand, I want you to give us an apology. That's not a courtesy call then. We stormed the office yesterday, a few of us, very few of us, about 4 or so, stormed the office yesterday and said, this is what we think has transpired in that tribunal, and this is the reading interpretation we have given to it. And if this is this, we are demanding that within the next 48 working hours that the NYSC as an institution issues an apology, a public apology, or we will come back and occupy the NYSC in protest. They now had to brief us and told us, no, it is not true that there is any change or any change of position on the part of the NYSC. And that is the reason why we decided to inform. We would have ordinarily invited the media as we were going there yesterday, but it was an impromptu decision that was made. A lot of our staff that are here didn't go with us. They didn't even know anything like that happened. They didn't know. because they don't even work on Thursdays and Wednesdays. I mean, Thursdays and Fridays. So, but some of us who are in Huiwa, some of us maybe at the level of trustees or the level of very senior members of the body who were called together, who embarked on that visit yesterday.